What's up, guys, and welcome to Behind the Lens, the vlog series created to provide insight into the world of professional photography. My name is Lennz. I am a Houston-based freelance photographer specializing in everything from weddings to fashion photography. Now, let me start this video by saying, if you are a person in the creative field or you desire to be in the creative field, especially in fashion, this video is for you. Now, I'm going to touch on a very sensitive subject, and I want to say this. I am limiting my discussion to the fashion and creative field. Let me say that again. This discussion just pertains to the fashion industry. And what I'm going to touch on is this: racism within the world of fashion. Now, I am late to the party on this one. I openly admit that, and I am ashamed of myself for being late. Let's get to it. Now, anybody in a creative field, or outside of it for that matter, knows about Vogue magazine. Vogue magazine is the epitome when it comes to fashion publications. Now, Vogue magazine has been around for over 100 years. Let me say that again. Vogue magazine has been around for over 100 years. And in those 100 years of existence, they have never had a black photographer shoot their cover. Yeah, I paused. Let me say it again. In over 100 years, Vogue magazine has never had a black photographer photograph the cover. That is until Beyonce, yes, Mrs. Beyonce Carter, or Beyonce Knowles, I will just address her in this video as Beyonce, until Beyonce took creative control, was given creative control for her September 2018 issue. With that control, Beyonce brought in the wonderful photographer, Mr. Tyler Mitchell, who happens to be black and who happens to be the first black photographer to shoot the cover in 100 years. Before I go any further, let me say, Beyonce, phenomenal job. Round of applause. A thank you from the heart. As a creative, as a photographer myself, I can't thank you enough for putting footsteps in the sand for this to happen, because with those footsteps we know we can follow behind that. Thank you for being a pioneer. Mr. Mitchell, phenomenal job on this shoot, young man. Now, he's one of the youngest. I think he was 23 at the time, so he's one of the youngest and the first black man to ever shoot the cover. So, superb job, and God bless both of you. Now, I understand that, the fashion industry is, as with some other industries, is cliquish. Anybody that's in it, it's cliquish. So if you're not with the in group, you don't necessarily get a lot of the jobs. But you mean to tell me in 100 years you never had a black photographer in your clique? Now, I'm not saying that Vogue magazine is racist. I'm not going there. But I am looking at them out the side of my eye. The reason being, you have over 1,000 issues, and in that period, you have had a bunch of different CEOs, editors, chief editors, whatever you want to call them, and nobody stopped for a second and said, wait a minute, every photographer that comes through here is white? You've had some black models grace your cover, and you never once thought about having a black photographer shoot the cover? Now, I'm not saying you should hire a photographer just because he's black, but a black photographer I'm quite sure there were black photographers that should have been given an opportunity in the last 100 years, because we have a lot of great black photographers, or a whole bunch of great black photographers. Now, with that being said, I'm going to get off the Vogue thing for a second and continue on. And once again, I'm not saying Vogue is racist, but I'm saying there is a problem here. And evidently, there was a problem, and Beyonce stepped in and said, you know what, enough is enough. So, since I was bothered by the Vogue incident, I went on ahead and did some investigating. I'm like, you know what else is going on that I'm not aware of? So on YouTube, there's a documentary, and I'm going to look down at my notes for a second, so please forgive me. And this documentary is called Racism in the Fashion Industry. I want you to go to YouTube and I want you guys to watch this documentary from beginning to end. It is extremely powerful. This documentary shows you some of the issues that minorities are still facing. And I mean, 2018, and we're still saying that the first black person to do something. Really? So, anyway, in this documentary, we go to a few agencies in New York City. Okay, everybody knows New York City is the fashion capital of the world, and that's where Fashion Week is. It's one of the fashion weeks, one of the major fashion weeks. And some of these agencies have reps that actually talk to the camera for the documentary. And one of them says that black girls with black features are not sellable, they're not marketable. You know, if you're, and this is what he says, if you're fortunate enough to have white features, you're sellable. But big lips, big eyes, big butt, they can't market that. Really? Really? So what is the message that we're sending here? So basically you're telling young black women, or black women, period, as far as I'm concerned, you don't look good enough as who you are. In order for you to walk a runway or sell a product, you have to have white features. You can't look black. Really? You can't be proud of yourself because, see, you don't look good enough. This is the message that they're basically sending. Another agent says, you know, some of the designers, they want a black girl that looks like a white girl that was dipped in chocolate. Really? Once again, then they say, well, sometimes the casting directors will say no blacks. Or, you know, the black girls are too curvy. You know, the fortunate ones, they have white features. Fortunate. So if you're black, you're not fortunate. That's basically what you're saying. See, I don't dig that. And let me pause right here, and I just want to say this: if you are a black young lady, a black woman, a Latino woman, Latino young lady, any minority looking at this video right now, pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you are, and represent well. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't have to look like anybody else to be good. You look like yourself. God made you the way he made you. You look phenomenal. Do not give in to this rhetoric. Okay? The issue I have here is that the fashion industry is creating this facade that you must be blue-eyed and blonde-haired in order to succeed in that industry, and that is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, hire someone because they're black. What I'm going to say is, don't you dare deny someone the opportunity because they're black. Because black women can model their ass off like any other woman. Now, one of the directors also says, one of the agents there, he says, well, if I send white girls on a casting call, they can be imperfect. They can be flawed, where a black girl has to be perfect. So I'm still dumbfounded by this. But anyway, this is why I say to people, and I've said this to numerous clients, we've had this discussion in my studios on numerous times. Always Remember, you are a brand. Take pride in your brand. Make sure you are polished. Watch what you put out. Watch the content, the quality of it. Because, see, you are being watched. As a minority, you are expected to come in right here. This is where they expect you to be. See, me, I'm going to disappoint them because I'd like to come in right here. You know why? I have my own expectations. I have my own goals. I have my own set of standards that I pride myself on. I know I'm not perfect, but I aim for it. See, and as an African American, we have to work 10 times as hard, and that shouldn't be that way. Like I say, I don't want the opportunity because I'm black. I want the opportunity because I'm good, but don't deny me because of the color of my skin. Because I tell you right now, I can shoot with a white photographer any day. And I know a lot of brothers here in Houston that can do the same thing. Trust me on that one. I know a lot of black women that can model their ass off. I know a lot of Latino women, a lot of women of Indian descent, a lot of women of Asian descent. I've worked with some of the best talent ever here in Houston, very diverse. When you step in front of my camera, I don't judge you based on your skin color, your sexual preference, your religion, or anything else. Either you can do something or you can't do it. It just comes down to that. So for all of the young ladies, especially young ladies, because, you know, this affects your mental. So I'm telling you right now, stand up, represent, be proud of who you are. Don't you change your features for anybody. This white is right in this industry is absolutely unacceptable, because what they're telling you is this: you are too black to represent our clothes, but you are not so black that you can't buy them. Think about that the next time you get ready to drop hundreds of your hard-earned dollars on some of these designers. Now, I'm not saying to boycott anybody, because a lot of times these decisions are not made by the designers. It may be made by the director of that casting call. But with that being said, we still need to look at these designers out the side of our eye and hold them accountable, because they see the shows. But enough of this is enough of it. If you're black and you go to a casting call, you should be judged on the fact of whether or not you can make those garments look good. Not because you're black, because in this documentary, they also state that sometimes the art director or the show director or casting director will say no blacks. That's ridiculous. But they don't say no blacks when you're lined up at the cash register, do they? See, we have the power to change this. As creatives, we have the power to start shooting our men and women in a way that uplifts them in a positive light. We have the responsibility and to hold. We should need to get the responsibility, I should say, to hold each other accountable for the quality of the content that we put out. You see, we need to take control of this ourselves. We have our Jet magazines and stuff like that, but we don't need to be limited to that. We had to create our own because they wouldn't let us into theirs. That's just the bottom line here. But I'm here to tell you, I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. If you're talented, you're talented. You can do anything you want to do. Don't take no for an answer. Don't change who you are for anybody. Take who you are and improve upon it. But also understand, they're telling you, you're not good enough to represent us in the field of fashion, but you can buy the clothing. Really? And most of the time, the people who buy the clothing look better in them than the damn models who are walking the runway. Fact. But I just want to put that out there because, see, we the people have power. We have power in our voice. We have power in numbers. We have power in the vote. And we damn sure have power in our pocketbooks. And I'm not going to call out any company specifically. I'm not going to get into all of that because, as I said, a lot of times this happens below level. But still, they need to be held accountable in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay? Now, all of the information and all of the things that I'm saying in this video happen to be fact. Look at the documentary. And while you're at it, you should also go on YouTube and do a search for some of the interviews by Mr. Tyson Beckford, Ms. Naomi Campbell, and Iman. All of these top African American models have spoken out against the racism. And I didn't know at one point only 6% of the models in Fashion Week were black. And I think 8% were Asian. I don't recall any of them being Indian or anything else like that. Why? So what we need to do is be aware of the fact that racism still exists in the creative field. And then we need to be bothered by it. Not to the point where you're mad and get upset and fly off the handle, but to the point where we start making a change. We start making a change in the way that we produce our work, the quality, the content of the shoot, what you're wearing for the shoot, how you prepare for the shoot. Like I said, represent your brand, because see, if you can't represent your brand on a certain level, you can't represent anybody else's. And I got news for you. If you represent your brand to the point where you're creating your own audience in droves with the power of social media, they'll come to you because they see you will affect their bottom line in a positive light. Then your skin color doesn't matter if you can generate the money. That's sad to say, but it's true. Also, never take no for an answer. Keep going. Keep going. Is it frustrating? Yes. Will you be denied? Yes. But the more and more we keep working, the more and more you increase your chances of becoming successful. And in our minority communities, we need to be supportive of each other, not the crab in the barrel syndrome. Be happy for the next man. Be happy for the next woman. Be happy they got that break. Never forget where you come from. You don't owe anybody anything, but it doesn't cost you anything either to be supportive of the next person. So I'm going to end this right here just by saying this. You are beautiful no matter what your skin color, no matter what your race, religion, or sexual preference. You can do this. We can do this. It is up to us. This stereotype and all of this negativity can go on one end, go out the other. But we still need to be aware of it, and they still need to be held accountable for it. Thanks a million, guys. I appreciate you guys listening. I hope this was helpful. I hope this motivates somebody. And as I said to all of the young ladies who are watching this video, stand up. Give yourself a round of applause. Don't change yourself for anyone. Be proud of your heritage. Be proud of who you are. Walk that runway in grace. Do that photo shoot to the best of your ability, because you are somebody. You do matter. Understand that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. You guys can check me out at www.thelens.com. You can also email me at thelens@msn.com. Get me on Instagram at thelenzphoto. Thanks a million, guys. God bless. I wish you a most wonderful week. I'm out.